यस्त्यक्त्वा रूपमाद्यं प्रभवति जगतो अनेकधानुग्रहाय प्रक्षीणक्लेशराशिर्विषमविषधरो अनेकवक्त्र सुभोगी सर्वज्ञानप्रसूतिर्भुजगपदिकर प्रीतये यस्य नित्य देवो हीशः सोऽव्यात् सितविमलतनुर्योगदो योगयुक्तः। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। नमस्कार। Am I audible? Visible to you? I'm just en route from the hospital to home. I will take some time more. We will be chanting the Yoga Sutras today. Chapter 2 from the first sutra will be where we have stopped. I will be listening. Please chant.
Should we start, ma'am? तपः स्वाध्यायेश्वर प्राणिधानादि क्रियायोगः समाधि भावनार्थः क्लेशतनुकरणार्थश्च अविद्या अस्मिता रागद्वेष अभिनिवेशाः पञ्चक्लेशाः अविद्या क्षेत्रमुत्रेक्षां प्रसुप्ततनुविच्छिन्नोद्धाराणाम् अनित्या शुचि दुःखानात्मसु नित्या शुचि सुखात्मा ख्यातिर्विद्या दृग्दर्शन शक्तयोरेकात्म्य तेवास्मिता सुखानुशयी रागः दुःखानुशयी द्वेषः स्वरसवाही विदुषो अपि तथा रूढो अभिनिवेशः ते प्रति प्रसवहेयाः सूक्ष्माः ध्यानहेया तद्वृत्तयः क्लेशमूलः कर्माशयो द्रष्टा द्रष्टजन्म वेदनीयः सती मूले तद्विपाको जात्यायुर्भोगाः
Yes. In the last session, we were discussing about karma at length. And the last part of the karma, we see that whenever there are the smaller karmas as the secondary option, the karmas which are punya opposing papa karmas by us, they become a second choice to the punya karmas. That means they are the opposite results than what we have expected in our sadhana. Along with this, we see the introduction of 3 tapatraya. Please write tapatraya. Tapa, tapatraya. Tapatraya. Adhyatmika tapa, adhyatmika Adhya Atmika Tapa or Adhyatmika Dukha. They are also known as Dukha. But technical term in the Yoga Sutras for these is Tapaha, not Dukha but Tapaha, Tapatraya. Adhyatmika Tapaha. Self-inflicted misery. Adhyatmika Tapa is self-inflicted misery. Now, self-inflicted misery, as per Patanjali's yoga, is majorly born not out of the karmas, but because of the kleshas. Not everything we go through in life is a byproduct of the karmic cycle. So, Adhyatmika or this Tapatraya, specifically the first one, Adhyatmika Tapa, comes from the kleshas, not from the karmas. What is Adhyatmika Tapa? The repetitive patterns of thinking which bring misery to the mind. We have a lot more control over the Adhyatmika Tapa because it is born out of our own kleshas and desire. So we are suffering not because of the karmic cycle. We are suffering because of our choices. This is the area where we have free will, but we are not able to exercise the free will with correct viveka or discrimination. So not everything comes from the karmic cycle or karmic transaction. Some things that arise out of our own contribute to the first tapa known as Adhyatmika Tapa. Therefore, whenever you say a mantra, you say Shanti, Shanti, Shanti for 3 times for this Tapatraya. First Shanti is for this Adhyatmika Tapa. Miseries pertaining to the body and mind. Miseries pertaining to the mind are born out of the kleshas maximum of times. So, living a life which is minimalist, a minimalist person on the exterior is going to have minimalism at the level of thoughts also, is going to exercise minimalism, will not need any emotion, any feelings from anyone, because very minimal lifestyle is outside as well as inside. Very little things also bring joy to such a person. So this Adhyatmika Dukkha especially is to be noted, does not only come from the karmas, but they come from these kleshas and the lack of viveka or discrimination. Lack of knowledge how to choose and what to choose. Therefore, going on making mistakes after mistakes, unable to bring oneself out of repetitive patterns. Miseries pertaining to the body also. This will also include smaller challenges at the body level which are constant. Now, they also arise from the mind. It is important to know that a healthy mind can upkeep a healthy body. If the mind is not healthy, sometimes we observe that the body is also not able to cope with the strength of the mind and it fails. Priyalji, are you able to hear me? I see you're struggling to connect. Let me know so then I could. Am I audible? Yes. So sometimes because of the miseries pertaining to the mind, the body is also facing a challenge. Some of the times. Sometimes, yes, there is some karmic cycle. You do not realize how the body falls sick. You know that it is a part of the prarabdha. My body has to go through this modification right now. So like Prakriti, there is also Vikruti of the Gunas. So this disease usually is born out of the Vikriti of the 5 elements. call them Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Prakriti and Vikruti. Since sage Patanjali has also discussed Ayurveda at length, we see that mention of Vikruti is very evident in Adhyatmika, dukkha, miseries pertaining to the body as well as mind. The next category of dukkha is Adi Daivika, destined. This is strongly karmic or prarabdha based suffering. Tapa. This tapa, Adhyatmika, after Adhyatmika, Adi Daivika tapa. The Adi Daivika tapa comes through people who we have karmic transactions. So this is not a challenge that we are directly facing in life. It is an indirect challenge we are facing through the people who are close to us. We share their destiny also. So because of them, we are also suffering Adi Daivika, destined suffering. This was very common in the times of Patanjali, where there was Tantra Prayoga. People who are great sadhaks, if they thought ill of someone, that person would actually suffer. Such was the strength of their thoughts. So whosoever sadhana was weaker, the former would be more overpowering on the other. So this Adi Devika Dukkha also comprises of this tapa, or Adi Devika tapa comprises of the challenges by destiny and challenges by others, suffering due to others in my life. Now, these can be immediate family members, these can be extended family members. This can be a person walking on the street and suddenly some car comes and hits this person. There is no mistake. Whenever you feel that there is no mistake of me whatsoever in this situation, please understand it is Adi Devika Tapa. So what we do here? We do sadhanas of different devatas to pacify this dosha. Sadhana of different devatas, mantras, kavacha is very, very important to be protected from Adi Devika Tapa all the time. Therefore, we see all the major villages, major families have their own personal god. What is the role of personal god? To protect the Kula or family from Adi Devika Tapa. So you say Kula Devika Koop, is Devta ka Koop. Prakop ho gaya means what? There are certain sadhanas which were committed by the ancestors which the present generation could not fulfill that sadhana. Because of that sadhana, certain boons were granted to the ancestors. Certain favors were taken from gods to fulfill certain tasks because our ancestors were Shuddha in their day-to-day life. So they could communicate at energy level. So certain energies which had helped our ancestors, we failed to do what? Continue in sadhana, in the offering. Remember, every devata gets bala or shakti through sadhana. If there is no bhakta, there is no devata. So for a devata to have bala, what is needed? Bhakta or sadhana is needed by many, many people. Therefore, in Kali Yuga, we have very fewer gods. Not all gods are there. Why? Because the people who worship these gods are no more there. Therefore, if there is no bhakta, there is the god who leaves the temples. So therefore, you will see, especially when I was in Karnataka few months back, I saw there are so many temples, but there is no life in the temples. So a temple which is filled with energy and a temple which has the vigraha, but it has no energy or life in it. That means the devata has left the temple. It is merely now a structure, but there is no divyatva, there is no prakasha. No lamp is lit, nobody goes there. Just goes there as an archaeological heritage site. So this means the gods have left. So in our life, it is very important for us to know who has been the ancestral god for the family. Or when you take initiated into sannyasa, any sadhana which the guru gives us. So this Adi Devika Tapa is taken care by sadhana of the Kula Devi or ancestral personal god. Why Sage Patanjali is sharing this with us? Because Sage Patanjali wants us to know that everything is not based on karmas. There are certain places where you have free will and you can change the effect and the result. Yes, Priyaji, you have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So when we do these Dhyan yoga, when we are studying scriptures and all, and we are going towards higher in that realm, that time we don't discuss gods like that. God comes in bhakti yoga and everything. Um, as a religion it comes, but when we are practicing this, there's no religion; it's more spirituality. But here, so how do we combine both? Because definitely, like we do our Kul Devi puja and everything, but won't that kind of bring us, like, attach us to something? I mean, then if we can attain samadhi through or anything through scriptures, then why is it important to rely on? Of course, I believe in Kul Devi, I do all of that. But my question is more like in that logical sense, that why do we have to go for a Devta Upasana?
Devata. Yes, because if you recall, Priyalji, when we were studying mantra yoga, japa yoga, we saw that every mantra has a devata who
Yes.
appears and does what? Protects all the obstacles on our way. So any
Yeah.
daily upasana we do. Upasana is different and sadhana is larger term. So sadhana
Okay.
will have your scriptures. But when you talk about upasana, or your personal God. So I
Okay.
will just come to contemplate on this question. I am just taking the elevator up. Yes, just contemplate on what we have discussed. I am connecting in 2 minutes. Please be here. is the difference between sadhana and upasana? Sadhana is study of the scriptures, while upasana is to prevent these adhidaivika dukkha. So upasana is usually related to your ancestral gods, or your personalized favorite god. Any energy you choose to protect yourself, and this is usually a mantric sadhana. That means you take a certain mantra and you recite every day. That is upasana. Jiranaji.
Ma'am, it is in continuity to that thing which you say that in temple, where if there is no bhakti in the temple, then there is no the energy in the temple also disappears, right? Something like you said.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
and similar, I heard from someone few days back that in today's time, when people are so busy with their jobs and everything, so in their house, when they don't have time to do a simple diya in front of their god.
Yes. Yes.
But then slowly the energy of that house altar, home altar also disappears if there is no bhakti is
Yes.
done on a regular
Yes.
basis.
Very right.
I was not sure about that thing, but then it it is true even even with home, right?
It is, yes, even with the home, because every home has a Vastu Purush. Therefore, you do the Vastu Shanti of the house whenever you enter. You say that may there be the house, the energy of the house that protects me first.
Ji.
So if there is the lamp lit in the house every day, it's for the Vastu Purush. Therefore, if you recall, especially in India, even if you're leaving the house, going out somewhere, you keep at least one lamp on in the house. It can be in some corner, it can be in any of the rooms. So the reason for keeping that light is for the Vastu Purush. So we acknowledge the house itself as our protector and Devata, because children are there. People have their children, their family, their elders in the home. So the house does not allow anybody to enter. Our house is like our astrological chart. Therefore, I say anybody whom we bring into the house, we must be very careful. Allowing someone to enter the house, stay with us, is like allowing somebody in our astrological chart and allowing them to influence our planetary position and destiny. Therefore, people in the olden times in India had outhouses to meet people, veranda, a specific room which was on the exterior. Nobody was allowed to enter the house, because the moment you bring somebody inside the house, even when you're dining place or eating place, till they're okay, till the dining, but taking interiors of the house, especially shayan kaksha or bedrooms, absolutely not permissible, because it changes the entire energy of the house, the Vastu Purush, and it has different effects for us. So especially for people, this is not related to Yoga Sutra, but you can make a note here. Any picture of elephants, mother elephant, baby elephant together is very good for the bedrooms. Gajalakshmi. Elephant is what? Known as Gajalakshmi. So this is Adi Devika Dukkha. How we overcome Adi Devika? Upasana. Daily Upasana, because Devata can protect us only through mantras. The medium to reach Devata is the mantra. There is no other way to connect with the Devatas. Mantras are different energy keys to unlock certain energy locks around us. So they make our path easy. I hope we were able to answer your question, Priyalji. Why Upasana is important? Because we have to be obstacle free in our sadhana. The third tapa is Adi Bhautika Tapa. Adi Bhautika Tapa is a mass suffering. Mass suffering. Together, many people suffer. Entire family suffers. This is usually because of the prarabdha of the place you are in. So certain cities go through catastrophes, any kinds of floods, any kinds of earthquakes, mass destruction. Is Adi Bhautika Tapa, excess rainfall, destruction of food, destruction of life, floods. Adi Bhautika Tapa. What do we do for Adi Bhautika Tapa? We worship the 5 elements. Therefore, you see in India, every river is worshipped. Every tree is worshipped. Rain god Indra is worshipped. The Vayu is worshipped. Why we worship something? Whenever we worship, we give godly form to any of other beings apart from the human beings. We take care not to disturb them or destroy them, even wrongly or unknowingly. So therefore, these sadhanas which collective villages do, even in India, till date, you have a village fair. One day out of the entire year, the village gathers together. In different parts of India, there is a village god who is prayed for this. Why? There may be no floods, there may be no Adi Bhautika challenges, mass suffering caused by the 5 elements, Tapatraya. These are Tapatraya. So our suffering is coming from where all now? Can you guess? Can you tell me all the sessions that we have discussed? What are our sources of suffering and how karma, where karma is active and where karma is not active? Reena ji, you are not audible to us.
Ma'am, Adi Devik.
Adi Devika.
Adhyatmic is not through karmas.
Absolutely not through karma is Adhyatmic. That means you have maximum free will and control at Adhyatmic. Adi Devik, partial. We have partial control. And Adi Bhautik, purely karmic. It's and not only our own karma, collective karma. So 100 people together had to go through that same event. That means those many people had done that same karmic transaction incurred in the past life. This is mass collective karma together. So, write a note here. Or we have written it, I think, first yesterday. Karmas can exist only in the presence of the kleshas. We have made a note yesterday about this in the yesterday's session, day before yesterday, which we had on Friday. The first line, can you read it? You're not audible. You have written 3. We opened the class with that. Karmas can bear fruit only if kleshas are present. You must have written this for sure. So, whatever we say is karmic, which means kleshas are present. And still we are suffering like a yogi who is having adhyatmika dukkha. Now the yogi is liberated one, but still going through bodily pain. For example, misery of the body. So what is that? It's the prarabdha working itself out still. Fever. Any yogi can also get fever. Any yogi who is a liberated one, the body can still fall sick.
So, example, the fever, that is not out of kleshas, right? That is prarabdha.
Clear.
Like he's supposed to go through it. So it won't be it is at an adhyatmic level, but it is because of prarabdha karma. It's
The
not,
suffering,
yeah.
the pain of the body. See, body has three avasthas. One is sleep, second is pain, and one is pain-free. So as long as there is human body, there is going to be pain for the body. Why? Because 5 elements are working together. So as long as these are changing, with change in the weather, we saw that we are not accustomed to the weather, there is a challenge in the body. So body has 3 avasthas. One is filled with pain at the body level. Therefore, we said we have to keep the body clean, shocha. Human body only needs the maximum cleansing. The moment there is no cleansing, there is disease. Why we are cleaning the body every day, the human body? Because the first state of the human body is disease state. Second state is deep sleep. And third state is the state of yoga, which is disease-free life. Only the one who is on the path of yoga can have a disease-free life. Disease-free. With changes in the weather or temperature, here and there some small bodily challenge will come, but it will go away. It will not affect the state of mind. So even if you are a yogi, you can face sometimes bodily challenges too, but you will not suffer. But if you're not a yogi, any smallest change is going to make you suffer terribly at the level of body and mind. Both.
So when one of the, I don't know his name, I think you had mentioned it, that some Maharishi or Mahaguru, he had cancer, like towards the end, like so, because he took energies from people or something like that, from and it was more suffering, but he was not suffering, it was just a bodily thing. So
Sri
it was,
Ramakrishna Paramahansa. Yes,
yes.
Ramakrishna Paramahansa. So many of the yogis, teachers sometimes take the prarabdha of their student. Because student is going to suffer, they know that the body will suffer. Their state of mind is unaffected no matter what the body is going. So suffering that meets us, adhyatmika, we have a control. Kleshas is the root of suffering. The kleshas, pancha klesha. For yoga ruksha, it is very, very important to understand that karma, the karmic cycle, is due to the presence of kleshas. The moment you reduce the kleshas, the karmas start reducing. Karmic transaction. People will exit your life. You will be surprised to know only few people remain in your life. That means your karmic knots are getting loosened and cleared quickly, freely. Most of the people away in life. You don't have to bear the burden, people's weight. This is what Sage Patanjali discusses in this sutra.
Ma'am, yesterday you said one thing that karma can only be fructify if kleshas are present. So it has the same meaning? Is the same
This is
thing?
what I said. Yes, yes. Presence for yoga ruksha, removal of kleshas is very important. The moment kleshas are removed, the karmic knots will start loosening by themselves. And when karmic knots have loosened, all the suffering from the karmas, that is only the prarabdha will work. Rest for the sanchita karma. What will happen? It will start becoming tanu, and from tanu dagdha bija. That means they will start being roasted. They will exhaust there in the fire of your tapas and your sadhana. And you will see that. I'm not merely saying that when you are in tapas, your karmic transactions are roasted. You'll observe that major events will meet you. You will see them, but they will pass by. And you will realize that had I not been in sadhana in this moment, I was right in middle of a storm and nothing happened to me. I was left unaffected. Each day you will have this realization when you are in your own tapas, that I'm seeing a very strong current of energy passing around me, destroying everything, but I am in stillness and untouched every single day. That's why we pray. We are grateful to God, not for just the past, for everything in the future, that we know I'm going to be protected. Once I am with my Guru, I'm going to be protected. That's for sure. Come what may. So whenever we pray to God, it's not for, oh, please give me this. It's already thanking that you have protected me. I know I am protected. There is no sanshaya. There is no doubt. I know you will take care of me at any point in time. Anything is there. So this is the beauty of prayer. Specifically, upasana is for the devata. So our takeaway from today's session is to find which is our ancestral god. Wherever is that temple, go find and meet the priest who knows your bloodline, your family. So on their behalf, annually, at least one day, try to go and do annadanam, food, distribute food in that village or that place. Ji, Ranji.
So, ma'am, I know who is my Kul Devi, but then after marriage, it changes. So, can I still worship the same Kul Devi who used to be before marriage?
After marriage,
After
the
marriage.
one who is happened, because Kula has changed. So, Kula Devi has changed. Devata. If you don't know who is your Kula Devata, then chant the mantra Om. He's the Kulapati. All Devatas are the Ganas. So, we have Lord Shiva. But that's our last resort.
But if I know who is my Kula Devta, but then it's something like that, only men are supposed to worship him. It's a cool, it is something like that I heard from my family. So I don't know how, is there any sadhana?
You can do dhyana. Maybe the ritualistic part will be taken care by men, that certain rituals involve only men, because it is the way it has been happened before, but there is no restriction on you chanting the name of the Kuladevi and offering prasadam or annadana. Very, very important, upasana, to take care of our karmic cycle. Again, we are discussing karmas in this sutra, and we are seeing the factors which influence our karmic cycle. So sometimes with us, even our partner or our family members are suffering. Why? Because they are making a mistake here, that there is no upasana done by them, and because of them the entire family also suffers sometimes. So every year, annually, it is very important for you to go together as a family with the present generation, past generation, that is your parents if they are with you, and the next generation, that is your children, to your Kuladevat, and say, what? I'm on the path of moksha. You have to take care that there are no obstacles that meet me. You put this responsibility through upasana. You have to put the responsibility on your upasya devat, on your kula devat. Ji.
Like you said in Adi Devis part, when we were talking about Devta gets bulk from Bhakta, and then there are certain temples which lose the energy because they are not being worshipped over there. So now, example, my Kul Devi is in my village in Kutch, and because it's a very secluded village, because people have left the village and very few people remain over there. So there the Kul Devi is not being worshipped, like a proper temple. So possibly, of course, we go there as much as possible, and we do, if possible, every month, or if possible, once in 6 months or once a year, of course. But because they are not being worshipped there, so if they leave that spot, does us going there and just once a year or twice a year make a difference? Just a question.
The gods, as long as there is somebody worshipping the god, lupta nahi honge Kal Yug mein. So the Kali-yuga devatas are Ganesha, Bhagwan Shri Krishna, Kartikeya, that is Murugan. All of these are Kali-yuga devatas, 3 or 4. But your ancestral devatas, like you're saying in Kutch, if you go and you even do your sadhana there, you will start, your practice will actually start bringing the Teja, the devata back, requesting the devata to be installed back as a protector. Devatas are protectors and shields. All the devatas.
And also, can you put some light on that line that Devta gets bulk from Bhakta? I mean, I'm understanding it, but I am still not very clear on that line. That why is it that we give energy when they are the energy sources for us?
Yes. Because we have taken care of this in the first chapter, Videhas and Prakriti Layas.
Okay,
So if
okay.
you have gone through all the recordings, you will recall Videhas and Prakriti Layas. That they have attained godhood, close to godhood, but they are still functioning as a part of Prakriti. And why that is, that's very interesting. What was that one thing that was left in them because of which they couldn't attain mukti? If anybody recalls, please tell me what it is.
The desire to do good.
Desire to do good. Satvik ahamkar. So they cared so much, the desire, because Rajas is still there. You know, the Satvik ahamkara, the Rajas is still there, that attaining close to godhood, you can say liberated, but choose to come back. Ishwar is one. Ishvara was never Baddha Purush. So, Sadaiva Mukta. But the Baddha Purush who attained Mukti, choosing to come back for the greater good. And they are allowed to come back when you call them. If you don't call them, how they will come and they will. So the need is felt. When the need is shown, it is their good. It's the Satvika Ahamkara. So they still continue to function in the Prakriti to facilitate Prakriti. Devatas. So we have lesser gods also. We discuss lesser gods or smaller gods. And the higher gods also. The desire to do good is also to be dropped later when we see for Yoga Rudha, because you are from Baddha, you go Mukta and then you still want to keep doing good. So you are still Sadaiva here only. You're not going anywhere. So these are the gods, individual. In our ancestry, it's very possible that at least one of your ancestors has been a Mukta Purush. Absolutely possible. In the Sanatan way of life, each one of our ancestors, there must be someone who has done sadhana. And that person who had done sadhana, when you are in sadhana, that person is going to put bala so that your sadhana becomes obstacle free. So you have to find out more who was in your family. Usually the priest knows because entire family stayed close in a village. All the houses were together. So if anybody alive, anybody has noted, they definitely know there is one person in your family who had done sadhana. Now that person's soul will keep on helping the ones in the future generations who want to walk the path of Mukti. Like all your ancestors who wanted to have Artha and Kama. Anybody in your present generation, your sibling is walking on Artha and Kama, you say, oh, आप श्राद्ध कीजिए, सब अच्छे से होगा. Every year you feed, you give some, you create some prasadam, you give it to your ancestors, Artha and Kam will be very good. But out of so many ancestors, एक तो कोई होंगे जो मुक्ति के मार्ग पे चले होंगे. There must be at least one of your ancestors who didn't want Artha and Kama, who wanted to go on the path of Mukti. That ancestor will start helping you in your Upasana first, before even the Devata does. Because they're feeling so good that somebody in my next bloodline is taking me towards moksha, Mukti ki taraf le ja. So Upasana, very, very important. You will get all these prachiti, all these experiences when you are in sadhana of the Adi Devika Tapa. They protect you. Your own house protects you, the Purusha, Vastu Purusha. Therefore, every year you should do Vastu Shanti. In your home, there must be Vedic fire at least once. There must be people who are fed in the house and small creature
The house does not only hold you, remember, the house is even holding smallest of jivas and creature. They are also connected to you from past many lives. They're just not in human form, but you were supposed to pay their rent and electricity bill and everything else. So they are staying in the same house as you are. So whatever food is cooked, keep little on the grass outside in the house. Keep little in the window. Any small creature in the Vastu, with the Vastu Purusha, consumes that. Vasana, the desire gets sated. Cleaning the house makes the Vastu Purusha very happy. It's like you take bath. So your house protects you first. House energy needs to be taken care very well. 5 elements, sunlight enters the house, wind enters the house. That means the devatas of these 5 elements are giving strength to your Vastu Purusha.
And that's how we feel the energy of some houses are different. And
Yes, absolutely right. Because your house also protects you from ill effects of karmic cycles, karmic transactions. Some people enter a house and they become very prosperous. For example, one of the famous celebrity, I had heard yesteryear, last decades back, great superstar, had to make a door made out of the ship wood. The ships in the oceans, uska cut karke wood ko was supposed to make the door because he was bankrupt. After he made that door for the Vastu Purusha, after that he hosted a show and again extremely became very, very rich. Again started, with the fame and everything. So these smaller upayas of the Vastu Purusha, he couldn't know what's happening. He has a very big house, but he's get a very, very great celebrity of the past decades going into huge debts. So the door was not maintained and repaired for a long time. So their family priest said, the Vastu Purush needs a door which is from the sea, the boat which has seen many places or something like that. So that many people enter your home, it will protect the salt water, wood which has been in salt water because it protects energies. So when he put that door on the house, things changed. So many instances are there. But from the Yoga Sutra point of view, for today's takeaway was only to understand Adi Devika, Adhyatmika and Adi Bhautika Tap. With this, we conclude this sutra. Next week, we will begin with other sutras. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently bow your head down. Feel grateful for this session. When you're ready, gently lift your head up, open your eyes, extend your arms. Namaste. Forgive me, I'm just going through a certain treatment. So my doctor sometimes extends the time, it reduces for another few days. Then I think we should be very good with our care. Thank you for your patience.
I wanted to say something.
Ji,
Because, I feel after this lesson today, it's very clear that how much of, at least from my perspective, my burden that you have been carrying as a student who's, I try my best and I think all of us do, but at the same time, you're giving us so much more than what I feel I'm doing justice to. So I feel that, I don't know if we are or I am contributing to your ill health in that sense. But if so, then please let us know. And
Guruji, Ishwara is there to take care of me. You don't worry. All of you are helping me to continue in sadhana in tough time. That's what I should be thankful to you for. This is what makes me feel so good, what we are studying together. Thank you. My parents are here, so nothing to worry. They are taking care of me and it's going to stay a little long, maybe 6 months more. I have to recover. But we'll continue with the sadhana regularly and I should be absolutely fine in 6 months. Please stay and continue learning. Thank you so much. Hari Om. Namaste.